Oh Lord, oh Lord of mercy, oh Lord, listen. Oh goodness, we are live. Hello, knockouts. Tonya TKO here. I know it's late. I just sent out the message to my mailing list because I just found out some foolishness that I did not think was real, that I didn't think could possibly be real. And in the moment that I found out that it was real, I listen. Listen. The title of today's video is Suck Out My Front Wall. listen, 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 listen. Let's get ready. Let's get ready. I want to know how many of you in here have heard of the term front hole. I need to know. I need to know. I need to know what's going on out here. I need to know. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Listen, I need to know what's happening in these streets. Okay, put up the number 1 if you have ever heard of the term front hole. Put up the number 3 if you have never heard of it. Put up the number 2 if you don't know what I'm talking about. So 1, 2, 3. 1 is you've heard of it. 3 is you've never heard of it. And 2 is you don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. So we have mostly 3s and 2s coming in. So I'm about to tell you. I'm about to tell you what front hole is. Listen. How many of you here are on my mailing list? Put up the number 5 if you're on my mailing list. Because I sent out a message. I sent out a message to you all earlier today on my mailing list, right? I sent it out to you all first so that you could. Somebody saying, "Don't tell them, don't tell them." Listen, listen. I just heard some craziness. Okay, so we got a lot of people on the mailing list. So, of the people on the mailing list, put up the number 6 if you saw my blog post. Put up the number 6 if you saw my blog post today. Because I need to find out who see my blog post. Because if you see my blog post, then you know what we're about to start talking about. Okay. All right. Okay. So, I'm waiting for them 6s. Let me wait for them 6s. All right. So, basically, all right. So listen, I need to know your points of views on what was in the blog post because I had to go update it today. And okay, so if you're coming in, let me let the cat out the bag, or maybe I can't call it a cat anymore. Listen. You know, I don't know why I'm laughing because this is really, really sad. This is really, really sad. So people have decided that the term vagina is not inclusive enough, and that the term front hole help me please, help me please, and that the term front hole listen, the term front hole should be used. You know, listen, I put up. What you talking about? Why we gotta include everybody? No, there's some people got vaginas and some people don't. You know, it's like it's not that difficult, right? It's not that difficult. Some people got nannies. Some people got nannies. This is how it is out there. So when I heard the term front hole, I said, well, where this yeah? At first I laughed, right? Because I was like, ain't no way. Because one of my knockouts, her name is Vanessa, right? She wrote it on the wall because I put up a thing today letting people know about the post. And she wrote on the wall about some front hole and how they don't want us to use the word vagina, so they got the term front hole and back hole. And I said, well, what is, we kids now? We can't say vagina? And then I'm laughing. But then I also remember that I was laughing last year when I was listening to this guy's blog post. I'm gonna tell you all a little bit of a backstory, right? Last year I was following this guy's podcast, right? And he was always saying this stuff about transgender, about how they can't compete with other men, so they pretend to be trans women so that they can finally be able to enter into competition and beat women and all this other stuff. And I was like, gosh, this is awful. Nobody would do that. Nobody would do that. I unfollowed the guy. I just had to go right to him today and said, you know what? You were right. I had to write to him today, and I was like, you know what? There are some people out there, and I'm not saying all, or even half, or nothing like that. I'm saying some. This is why there has to be some sort of regulation or something, some sort of proving. So listen. If you haven't already, I need you to jump off this video real quick and run to my website, and I need you to take a look at that blog post that I wrote. So if you go to TonyaTKO.com and you go to the front page, it'll load, and you just click in the menu area, blog, because I want you to see this human being who was claiming to be a woman or that he felt that he was a woman. I want you to take a look at this spider of a wig that's sitting in the front of his head. I need you to go. You need to see this. You need to see this. So this man claimed that he was a woman. He claimed he was trans so that he could get put into a woman's prison. And then guess what he did with his penis? He raped 7 women. Now that's not funny at all. But what is funny is if you take a look at the way the wig is sitting on his head. So anybody who looked at him could have known. Listen, anybody. So listen, I want you to go take a look at that. Jump out and come. I need you to come back and do and listen, I need you to do a survey. So we're going to do a survey when you come back, and the numbers are going to be 7 and 8. And I need you to tell me from the picture of this man, whether or not this man looked like he really thought he was a woman. I need you to go. If you see that picture and you really think that he felt he was a woman, I want you to put up a number 7. If you knew no way in hell, listen, no damn way in hell. No doggone way in hell, right? I need you to come back and put up at 8. So I need you to just jump out real quick. Wait, what happened to Ivana? Oh, Lord. What happened to my sweetie? I gotta scroll up. I'm missing some of the comments. The doctors are unfortunately non-caring and speak to her in a meek. What are we talking about? Oh, Lordy, have mercy. I need you to hold on for one quick second. Hold on for one quick second. Are you okay? Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I just got a message that I had to look into real quick, right? I just got a message that I had to look into real quick. I missed some of the messages. I don't know what's going on. Ivana, I just had to put some sanitizer on my hand. I got some all-natural aloe and disinfectant sanitizer. All right, I'm back. So listen, where is her blog? You need to go to TonyaTKO.com and just click on blog. We just click on blog. You know what? I'm going to open up the phone lines. All right, get ready to call in. 323-488-3149. I'm gonna open up the phone lines because I need to hear from you all because I don't know what's going on. So when I heard the term front hole, I thought it was a joke. And I was like, ain't no way possible. Like it doesn't really make any sense. Then two other things happened. I said, you know what? Let me look into it because the last time that I thought something was a joke, it actually turned out to be very, very true and very, very tragic, right? Because I thought to myself, these people know that the muscles are different, the bone mass is different, the height and weight is different, the level of testosterone is different. So I said, no way that a person who was born male would ever get into a physical competition, right? Then I found out, oh yes, not only are they getting into physical competitions, they're also taking scholarships, right? Okay, so Julia is saying 7, some other people are saying 8. Okay, all right. Oh, the phone lines are already ringing. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name?
Okay, stand on it.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can. You're on.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. I've never done this before.
Okay, well, basically, you put the receiver to your ear, and then the bottom part you put near your mouth so that the sound that comes out can go into the microphone part, and then you just talk. It's simple.
Okay, I got it. I wanted to stay anonymous, so that's why I didn't tell you my name.
Well, what would you like for me to call you? You could just say anything.
I guess Rose is fine.
All right. Okay, so Rose, talk to us. What are your thoughts?
So I have a huge issue with everything going on, as I'm sure a lot of us do. And I'm just a woman, natural born woman, cis woman, whatever we want to call it.
Okay.
But I actually work in medicine. I'm a student, so this is a huge, I guess, area of contention for me because, we're taught one thing. And of course, as a provider, you want to be as therapeutic as possible and you want to help your patients as much as possible. But I feel like what we're learning is very much pushing, it's based on an agenda that is being pushed or whatever it is, whatever.
Okay.
And I always feel like there's a disservice that's being provided, or a disservice that's being done.
Okay.
But anyway, stay on topic. Sorry, I'm like falling off topic because I have my issues. But I guess that the basic summary is that there is an incongruency. So when you see people like that gentleman who are able to go into a jail or a prison and they're able to go into the women's side of the prison and just so easily claim that they are women and there's no checks and balances.
Right.
It's just so bizarre. It goes against everything that we as humans, it goes against logic. And I just don't understand it. Like I don't know.
Okay. All right. So that's your comment. You don't understand it, and you're in med school, and you find that it goes against congruency.
I just don't. You know, when you think that you're the crazy one, like a lot of my friends who are also in school are all about it, and I support making people feel comfortable and making people, I don't want people to not feel comfortable coming into the office and asking for help. I'll always help anyone, but it does feel a little uncomfortable for me because I don't know how to address the feelings that I have towards it.
Yeah, like so. I understand what you're saying. I at least I think I understand. So you are surrounded by people who are supportive of the idea, who are playing into it, right? Feeding into it rather. And there's really no space for dissent or discussion and there's no checks and balances, and everything just seems harry-carry. And more, the boundaries keep getting pushed further and further back. Is that what you're saying?
100%. Thank you for saying that better than I did.
Yeah, no, I feel
That's
I
so
feel what you're
classic.
saying. I feel what you're saying. I feel what you're saying. All right, so we've come upon 4 minutes. So thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah, thank you. Have a
Okay,
good one.
you too. Bye bye.
Bye.
All right. So, okay. So there are people who are like, what is the front hole? So basically, front hole is an inclusive way of saying vagina. So the so instead of saying vagina, which can exclude some people, but you know what? I'll say this, right? So no. Before we get into that, I'll say this, right? When I heard it, I was like, I thought it was funny. Then after a while, I was like, you know what? This sounds like it sounds like a way that a Jamaican person would throw an insult off at another person. Come suck out me front wall. Suck your mama front. It sounds like a way to depersonify your body part as an insult to another person. That's what it sounds like to me. And then I went to the website and I started reading the guide, right? And when I started reading the guide, it actually made me very sad, but not sad for myself. It made me sad for people who identify as trans. And part of the reason that it made me sad is because apparently these people are dealing with a lot, right? So they were talking about how to have intercourse, if you are in this community. And they were talking about how you need to use lubrication in the front hole, right? Make sure that you lubricate it very, very well. And then it dawned on me that, because I don't believe in lubrication. Like, if you can't get it where it needs to be, then it ain't gonna get got, you know what I'm saying? And then it dawned on me that there's some people out there who, because of the construction of their front hole, that they don't produce the natural lubricant for themselves to be able to moisturize before intercourse, or to be moist before, not moisturize, because moisturize is something different. But yeah, then it made me really sad. And then the whole term front hole made me really sad, because the word vagina is just a word. We assign, I mean, it is a vagina. We assign what it is that we choose to assign to it, right? And if there's a person who feels such torment on the inside that they can't even bear to refer to their vagina as a vagina, then it lets me know the deep state of trouble that this person is in mentally, that they or in troubled state that they're in. And it made me feel sad for the mental health of a person who has to refer to their body part as a lady penis. And it reminded me, I don't know how many of you out there watch Shameless, but that was the joke in one of the seasons, that there was a little a person who was raised as a girl because the mother wanted a girl, and she was standing up peeing, and she was like, oh, don't worry about that, that's just my girl penis, right? Nonetheless, the phone lines are 323-488-3149, and the phone lines are open. It's 323-488-3149. I saw the trailer for Pose, and I thought about watching it, but then I was like, oh, it just seems so bitchy and so catty. And she was like, I feel sorry for you, I made it, and all this other stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. You're on the air live with Tonya. Turn down your computer in the background, please. Yes. So you're
I
on.
am Chantel. Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah. So your name is Chantel?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I'm 24. I recently discovered your channel after the whole Fresh Area thing.
Oh,
And maybe it's just me, but I'm a little confused because, growing up, like you were talking about in the last few lives, as children, we're socialized to act differently, to treat our bodies differently. And that's another thing I don't understand because, no offense, but you can tell when someone is not born a woman because saying front hole, we have multiple holes. Just saying front hole does not mean enough to us because we have more than just that one. And as a woman with a womb, like you say, that hole is meant to produce babies more than just that thing happened. Whether it be our fibroids or any of that, so much happens that comes out of that front hole, as they say. It's something that can't be, in my opinion, I don't know the word, but you can't like lower what we are or try and demean that hole because it is so important. Like you said, that's the gatekeeper. Without that hole, how do people plan for the world to continue if you're gonna just make it seem like, oh, it's just a hole? It may be just a hole to them, which in their transness is their own beauty. However, it's okay for us to have our own space, like you said, to discuss those issues and to talk about it. And it's okay. In my opinion, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, and you know what I thought about? Because I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, okay, so even if you get your penis turned inside out and your testicles turned into labia, right? You still have a prostate in there. So it's like, what's happening in this area? Like maybe that's why it's easy to call it a hole because it doesn't lead anywhere. You know what I mean? It doesn't.
Yeah.
Where does it lead? Where does it go to? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, so like people were talking about, oh, they're going to be doing womb transplants. This is why there's so many black girls being kidnapped, etc. Right? And I'm like, well, a person doesn't have the genetic makeup to be able to hold a uterus. Like, if you don't have a cervix, what's going to dilate? What are going to be the biological functions that are going to happen for food to pass through the umbilical cord to feed this child? What is the placenta going to, how is all of that going to take place? You know what I mean? So,
And even for me, I have a hormone issue, and I know a lot of women that have hormone issues, and it's not something that we can change. For me, when my cycle comes, my hormones surge so much, I literally have to go to the hospital because they can't stop my body's natural, like, contractions, I guess my uterus is having. Like, we have cramps, but my body does it so severely because surge of hormones. If we're women and our bodies are built for that, what is somebody's body who's not built for that going to do when they get that surge of hormones?
oh, that's interesting. I wonder too. You know what? It's a new field. It's new, and there it's going to take some tweaking. So this is why I think it's important to have these conversations. It just doesn't seem like from the talks that we were trying to have, it didn't really seem like people were really open to having the conversation. And even right now, there's somebody who is a regular of my page who is like, it's Saturday night, it's boring, let's talk about something else. And so it's like, it's difficult it's like there are people who don't want to have the conversation. You know what I mean? And so look, whether you want to be here or not, people are still going to discuss it because this affects us too. And there are people who are like, oh, you're being bigoted against a minority population, or yeah. And I'm like, because somebody was like doing the numbers, they were like, oh, these people only make up 0.04% of the population. Why are you doing this, and the other? And I'm like, no, I'm bucking against XY persons encroaching upon the space of XX women, and they make up half of the population. And so it's like people want to then try to make it seem like these people are part of a different population, but it's still the same topic. You know what I mean? It's the same topic of XY persons encroaching upon the rights and spaces and safe spaces of XX chromosome persons. So it's the same thing.
I agree. And again, thank you for bringing up this topic because I feel like a lot of times we're kind of scared to approach it because we already get so much backlash. I mean, I get it. I'm a Black woman. I was born this way. It's a blessing. You know, everybody wants to be us, but at the end of the day, we bear that responsibility, and it's hard to voice this way. And thank you for even bringing this conversation to us. And I'll go ahead and go because I know you have a lot more.
Oh, I have a quick question for you. How did you end up finding the channel, though? Was it recommended to
Honestly,
you? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like one day, I guess it was your first live back on this channel. It literally it kept popping up, and I was like, that's interesting. Let me just go ahead and watch it.
Oh,
and
okay.
I've literally been hooked ever since.
Oh, are you subscribers of any of the two people that I was discussing in that video?
I am subscribed to For Harriet, but I find it more like I like to hear different people's views rather than like just go based off. Like, I want to hear everybody's opinion. That way I can form my own. So I'm comfortable with, subscribing to her. But after that, I can't say that it didn't make me feel differently about watching her.
Okay, I got you. All right. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate it. You have a great rest of your evening.
You too. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. So the phone lines are open. And you know what? There were some people who were criticizing me on Facebook for the call-in show, saying that there were certain people who weren't allowed to call in. The phone lines are open. If you'd like to call in, you can call in. You're on the air live. What's your name?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So,
what's your name?
Live?
Yeah, what's your name?
Yeah, this is that Brooklyn Life.
Okay.
I've been a follower for a while. I'm not really clear on like what the topic is and whatnot, but I am a little bit interested in just exploring the transgender community.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason why I've become interested in their stories is because I just asked a question earlier. I was asking if you had watched the show Pose.
Oh, okay.
And I was really like, at first when I was watching, I was like, oh, this is kind of like superficial. But the storyline in Pose is what really stood out to me as far as like their experiences. And I come from a very, like, naturally, I've like grown up with certain biases against people for like whatever they decide to, what they choose to be. And I've been working through that for some time.
Okay.
Because I have people in my family that are also in that community as well. So I'm just trying to become open to understanding.
Mm-hmm.
But I do still have a lot of confusion,
Yeah, well, you know what? There are people who are willing to tutor you. There are groups that exist on Facebook and around on the internet. And I suggest you reach out to some of those people and, let them know that you are curious and that you'd like to befriend them or ask them questions or whatnot. Okay, because I remember years ago when I was curious, I actually spent time, asking questions and getting to know a trans person.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what cause I have been seeing your some like small clips of like videos with questionable stuff. I don't know if it's some type of beef going on YouTube, but it's just so much stuff to follow. I've been following you for a while. I really like most of your videos and the topics that you bring up, but I've kind of started to have like a change of thought as far as how I view the transgender community and the things that they're fighting for, basically. Before that was something that I kind of ignored and didn't see as a issue, or I kind of looked at there being a bigger issue within the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like if that issue is not dealt with, systematically, then we cannot really deal with everybody else. And I still feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have more sympathy and more understanding of the things that they've gone through, which has caused them to become who they are and to exist in the way that they have, and just the traumas that they deal with and that are ignored in our society.
Yeah, and you know what? And I'm so glad that you brought that up. I'm so glad that you brought that up because that's really important, right? And there are a few different things. So I see that there are some people in the comments who are saying that that I'm bashing or whatnot. And I would ask anyone to come forward and say what it is that I've said that is bashing. My thing is, I believe that each human being's journey is a beautiful journey. And I believe that trans people's journeys are beautiful journeys that are rife with all types of trials and tribulations that they came into this life with, right? That many have overcome, that some are still in the process of overcoming, and that it's an ongoing process for others, and others have reverted back. You know, so it's a journey, and I think that as me as a self-love specialist, there are two different things going on here, right? So my channel is about black women, keepers of the womb, who are Nubian, stepping into and exhibiting radical self-love. And one of those things is advocating for yourself, speaking up when something doesn't seem right, right? And then on this issue is twofold, because in terms of self-love, I personally believe that the most self-loving thing that a person in the trans community can do is to acknowledge that they are trans, to how do I put this? To respect their journey. Because if there are people who are going to say this system is not binary, right? Then why try to fit into a binary system and say that you are either male or female? Why can't you, disrupt the binary and create a new lane for yourself? Because what it is that they're doing is not sustainable. And you all know, because I made the videos last year where I advocated for trans people, because I understand that they're a disenfranchised minority. I understand that the community itself, has their own struggles, right? However, when I started looking at the larger picture, and I started looking at the erasure of woman, and I started looking at the encroaching, how this group that you would like to advocate for has rogue entities within their group that they are not checking. And that those rogue entities are pushing out, like the trans community can be standing up against trans women fighting in MMA matches, or running in track and field, or being in sports with biological women, XXYers.
So I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that.
So I wrote this blog post, The Erasure of Woman, and it's on my website, TonyaTKO.com. You just click on the blog and it's right there at the top, because I just put it up today. And then so this broadcast today is about now, the use of the word front hole as a more inclusive way of saying vagina. When women have you
I clicked on the video because I was like, what is this some Jamaican cuss word? What's happening?
Exactly. And so this is just another example of people who are XY chromosome, and this is specific to people who are male to female transitions, because they were socialized as males, and thus they come into this space with the entitlement and the privilege of males feeling like, oh, of course I belong. Oh, I don't need to have experienced this or have this in order for me to be this. And that is false, because it takes away the uniqueness and the special place that keepers of the womb hold in every single civilization. And we are necessary, we are needed, and we hold a very special vibration. The uterus itself has a special vibration and connection to the universe. And there was
I also want to point out that like Black women generally do support all people.
Of
From
course.
what I see as a collective,
Mm-hmm.
we support all groups. That's what I see, and we get bashed for that as well.
Yeah, and you know what? And of course, because Black women and our esteem is so low that we're looking for people. We're constantly looking to prove ourselves by being Mama Earth and Mama Energy, depleting ourselves in everybody else's
Right.
fight as they ride us like mules into the sunset and then kick us off over once they get past the horizon. And it's like it's high time that we really, really advocated for ourselves. And there are many people who may not understand what it is that I'm doing. There are some people who don't understand how what I'm doing relates to self-love, but I understand. And look, I get it because I told you I unfollowed a podcast last year where the guy was going on about transgender entering into sports against women. And I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this is too much. He's transphobic. He's this. He's a hater. And it made me feel uncomfortable because I'm like, because the Mother Earth energy that we have, and I'm like, oh, here's this group who needs help. But then when I started seeing that these people enter into the space with the privilege of XY chromosomes, who then start encroaching upon the space of X women, it just makes it makes it difficult to hold a sympathetic ear when they're not checking themselves and their community, and not even, and like I said, it's not sustainable because long term. And you know what? I'm going to do a video or a blog post or a podcast about this because this needs to be said. And I want people to really listen up and hear what it is that I'm saying. Listen, I want you to hear this part specifically, okay?
Yeah.
Men who want woman. Men who are okay with dating trans or who want trans. A man who wants a woman does not want a trans woman. He does not. And a man who's open to date both, then he's open to date both. But my thing is, why do you want to be with a person who does not specifically want a person like you? Why put yourself in a position where you're now contorting yourself, pretending to be something that is not sustainable to pretend to be? Because there are going to be...
that's definitely an issue, and that's always been an issue. This is why I feel like if you do get a chance, you should watch, just go through the episodes, because there are a lot of there's just a lot of storyline around.
Okay. Well, you know what? Thank you.
And around.
Thank you. We've been on for 11 minutes.
Sexual interest.
So I'm gonna jump off and let you go, but that's definitely.
Oh yes, of course. I'm sorry.
I may watch it. I don't know. I invested time in watching Disclosure, and I was very disappointed by what I saw. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay. All right. So listen. Why do you want a person who doesn't want a person like you? Why do you want to be with a person who wants a woman? There's an energy to being a woman, a womb holder, a keeper of the womb. And it's not something that you get from pantomiming. It's not something that comes from the performative act thereof. And I was telling people on the video that I did yesterday when I was driving, I feel that in a past life I was in Japan. I believe that I was a shogun, that I was a warrior in Japan. I did a past life regression and I was a warrior, and I really truly feel that in my spirit. One day I woke up and I moved to Japan for a year. I did. When I went to Japan, there were all of these languages and customs and buildings that looked familiar to me. And I'm telling you, I have a feeling, I also have a feeling that I once lived in Morocco, and I did a past life regression and had the feeling that I was in Spain, old Spain, right? So now I had this feeling. However, in this life, what is the reality of what I've been born into in this life? And no matter how much I'd like to say, you know, in a past life I was this thing, I have this feeling that I am this thing, I also have to look at the reality of where it is that I am. And this is going to be something that is actually going to bifract the liberal party, because this is a point of contention where we're going too far to the left, where we are just allowing any and everything liberally. Like, there needs to be some sort of checks and balances with people having to prove. So if you say that you are trans, there have been brain scans there are people who are saying that there are brain scans that the trans mind is in between. Those studies are, I haven't seen a study yet that has studied more than 100 people, right? And some of those studies were done posthumously after the person was dead, right? Or post-mortem. They were done after the person had passed away, right? So the science is still young, the science is still new, and there has to be some sort of way, because there's a portion of people who are saying that they're trans who are lying. There's a portion of people who are saying that they're trans who have a fetish. And this fetish, because you know, men fetishize many different things about women's bodies. And so they have this fetish for the female form, and it turns them on and all this other stuff. And there are people who are legitimately feeling like they were born in the wrong body. A portion of those people who feel like they were born in the wrong body have mental health issues, accompanying mental health issues that are exacerbating an idea, an ideal, which may not even really be fully true in their life. Like, there's a portion of people who detransition. According to the website, sexchangemistake.com, I believe that's the website, right? 40% of the people who transition, 40% of the people who commit suicide after they've already transitioned, because the transition wasn't what needed to satisfy their soul. And I think that while many of us are being ultra liberal, that we are ignoring that there could be a greater need for help, that a person may need a greater need of help. And so while we're over here gaslighting them like, oh yeah, you could be anything that you want, right? We're not really truly looking into the help that they need, right? We're not really truly looking into the additional support that they may need to really guide them into a direction that could stop them from butchering themselves, stop them from mutilating themselves, stop them from castrating themselves, and any number of things, right? We also have laws in this country that stop doctors from chopping off perfectly working limbs and body parts. Yet if a person says that they're trans, we'll start chopping off things and all of this other stuff. But I'm advocating for people to be able to receive the extended support that they need, or that they may need. There's some people after the therapy, they still want to do it. That's cool. You know what? I personally believe that if a brain scan can show that a person is a certain thing, get the brain scans, do the brain scans, let a person reach a minimum criteria. Because what's ending up happening right now, that trans person who claimed that they were a woman, the number is 323-488-3149. The trans person who claimed that they were a woman, who used that as an excuse to go into a female prison to then begin raping people with his penis, right? What was the minimum threshold that he had to meet besides saying, oh yeah, I'm a trans woman, let me go into a woman's prison? And what's ending up happening is now this crime is being reported as a woman-on-woman crime. The crime is being reported as a woman raping someone with her penis, and verbiage like that really puts out a lot of confusion. You know what I mean? Because if you look at you know what, I saw this, I was gonna say, if you look at the crime statistics, right? But I saw this meme that said that, you know, men keep talking about women needing protection, and it dawned on me that what women need protection from is men. So it's like, when you then allow an XY chromosome to then say, oh, I'm a woman, and then come into the space of womb holders with all of the toxicity that comes along with the rearing of boys. Like you all saw when we did 12, I think 16 hours worth of shows, and the people who were aggressive with me, the people who would cut me off and mansplain to me, the people who wouldn't let me express my thoughts, they all had something in common. They all had something in common. You're on the air live. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Angela.
Hi, Angela. How can we help you?
Mom, I'm calling because I've been watching these last few videos. Well, I've been watching her videos for a few years now. And I find it very interesting how you are so into really trying to get to the bottom of what's going on, and you're still receiving so much pushback and hate for it. What you have said is correct. We are absolutely being bullied into accepting what we were already accepting. We were accepting the LGBT community and loving them, and for some reason it's not enough, and I don't understand that at all.
Well, you know what? It's part of the toxicity of the rearing of males in many societies, where they are all about dominating, conquering, and competition. Like you would be surprised. It's like, and it's so weird because I've been trying to wrap my mind around this for the longest time as to why when trans people want to insult me, they start trying to insult my looks. And I'm like, I'm good with my looks. You know what I mean? I'm okay.
There is absolutely nothing wrong or off with your look. You are beautiful.
Oh yes.
And please know it.
Oh yes, I know that. I know, but my whole thing is, in the male mind, there's this competitive spirit where they're like, oh, I'm gonna look better than you. Oh, this, that, and the other, right? Like somebody was talking, like when I did that video on Facebook, there was somebody who put up pictures of me talking about, now Tonya, what I need you to do before you start speaking on the trans issue is transition them underarms. And I'm like, look, so you all know, I don't shave my armpits. I don't. Very rarely do I. If it's gonna become bushy, I don't. And we're in a pandemic too. Come on. I'm a natural woman. And so you see, it's like I wake up like this. You know what I'm saying? And there are people who are so into the contortion that they're like, well, why aren't you contorting too? And the crazy part about it is that we have these people who have entered the space who now they've skewed into these impossible body types. Like as a womb holder, you know that after a certain amount of time, things start to swing down low. They start to swing, you know, things change and they shift. You know, but we got these people whose bodies are created by surgery, who now that is the new norm. That's the new standard for you not to need a bra, for your bosom to stick straight out. And when you're on your back, they're still sticking straight out. And that's not how women's bodies are created. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so when you say, yeah, we supported them, right? But what is it? So they want you to be, I don't know. There's some who want you to be erased. They're angry. They
are very angry, and I really don't understand it because we have absolutely supported them. And I listen to Chrissy. I don't listen to Harriet, but Chrissy has made some very valid points because in the midst of us accepting them, they have bashed us and have completely gone in on us for what we really don't know. It's completely over our heads at this point. Because
I'll say this, and I hate to cut you off. I just want to just interject this really quickly, right? And I want us to not focus on the loud minority, you know, because there's a silent majority My issue is the silence, that there's a loud minority that are doing certain things that the silent majority are not checking them on. So yeah, there are some people who call us fish and who bash us, and there are people who are angry. There's a lot of toxic people out there. However, what is the silent minority going, I mean, the silent majority going to do about the things that are real socio and political issues that are happening right now towards keepers of the womb in relation to the space being encroached upon? So so go ahead.
That's a very valid point. I think that our spaces need to be protected at all costs because we are being attacked from all different angles. All different angles. The one thing that they love to point out is that they're being killed by men, and someone even said that we need to have these conversations with men and make them comfortable with dating trans women, but I don't think that is our responsibility.
Yeah.
We're not the ones telling them who they should and who they should not date.
Yeah. And
because we as women are being beat and killed by these same men as well.
Yes, and you know what? I've heard a lot of flack from trans women who are upset about the violence that they face. And I'm like, the violence that you're facing is at the hands of other men. So it's like, that's something that you all have to check, like, and then also, yeah, so so the thing is, while you're ashamed of being trans, while you don't want to admit who you are, how do you expect for somebody to truly accept you for who it is that you are when you won't even accept yourself? How do you expect somebody else to accept you?
And see, the friends that I have in the community, they aren't like this. They are wonderful people. They are unappreciative of what's going on right now, and these continuous conversations need to be had because the loud minority is getting louder every day.
Yeah. And then there are people who are ultra liberal who are supporting this and feeding into some people's sickness. Anyway, listen, we've gone past our time, so thank you so much for calling in. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Bye.
All right. All right, the phone lines are open, 323-488-3149. I want to give other people a chance to be able to call in and chime in. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name?
Hi.
Hi.
My name's Layla. I'm a bit nervous, but I'll try to make it quick. You made a really, really, really good point that really touched me. I'm calling in from Europe about the fact that transgendered men or men who turn into women are attacked by other men, but yet they in turn attack us. The first point I wanted to make is hormones. If there were no hormones manufactured by Big Pharma, and I don't want to say the main manufacturer of these hormones, but if you look into who manufactures these hormones and who distributes these hormones for free, there's definitely a reason for it.
Really?
Yes. Here in Germany, you have to go through a lot of, how can I say it? Like you said, a lot of mental exams. You cannot just give a child hormones and transition them here in Europe. I am American, but I've been in Europe for 10 years.
Okay.
A second thing is if we were to remove hormones from the community, how these men or women need to ask themselves, would they still be women? Because they have to inject themselves every month in order to get that hit to create the breasts and to create all of these so-called biological effects in their body that make them less men.
Yeah, somebody's saying that there's an underground market for hormones.
Yes, and I don't want to speak about it too much on YouTube, and because of the kind of company that I work for.
Okay.
I'll just say do some research. It would be really kind of cool if people did research into it and realize there's a bigger bigger agenda here at hand.
Yeah, you know what? If
than
there's
than
anybody
that.
who needs to contact me privately, my website is TonyaTKO.com. You can click on the contact section, contact thing, and you can write to me from there. So I appreciate you dropping in to give your jewels. I'm going to look into
Mhm.
who manufactures these. Thank
Mhm.
you. The male
And
ones
then
or females or both?
yeah, both actually. And I'll tell you this: Planned Parenthood gives them away for free. When you're 16 years old, it's legal in America to receive hormones for free, starting at 15 and 16 years old.
Oh, how interesting.
I will tell you this. And there was a transgender who was actually raped and who actually came out against Malik Yoga. This female was one of the main ones who pushed for those laws to be passed. And I think since 10 years now, they can receive hormones for free if they're below the, I'm sorry, I'm a bit nervous. I don't speak English very much anymore. Below the income range. The second thing I wanted to speak about is like the rights. Like, I don't understand why my first experience, I'll just speak out. When I was younger, I liked different kinds of music and I used to go to a lot of different places. And I remember visiting Atlanta and going to a nightclub there. It was a really old nightclub, and I thought it was kind of cool to be there with all the drag queens and the colors. And my first experience was as soon as I walked through the door, one put out a foot and tried to trip me to make me fall on my face.
Oh, wow.
And I turned around and I said, "What did you do that for?" And then the gay guy that was with me was like, "Oh, honey, he's just jealous because you have titties and you don't." And then he tried to turn around and kiss me. But in a few of those environments, this was back in the 90s, I'm a little bit older, I was actually indirectly attacked by these kind of people. Or if I went there with a guy that they felt was straight and I shouldn't have been with, they would do a dance and a spin. And I remember one time having on high heel spike shoes and he did some kind of swing and kicked me in the ankle. And at that point, I was like, okay, this is not a mistake. These, if I just stop going into those kinds of environments, now it's different. It's more open and it's more inclusive. But back then, they were very protective of their spaces as well, which is my point.
Interesting.
So I don't feel guilty as a woman being protective of my space.
But then let me ask you, how did anybody know that you were not, lesbian or whatever? How do they know what your sexual preference is?
I think they can tell the difference because back then it was when I used to go there, a lot of gay guys used to bring their straight female friends in to let other gay guys, I guess, know they're single. I didn't know that at the time because I was young.
Oh.
Yeah. And so it's just my experience. Everybody has their own experience, but this is what I went through in the 97, 98 era.
Oh, wow.
And then the last thing I have to say, and then because I don't want to take up too much of your time, is value. I truly have traveled the whole world. No woman is expected to work as hard and be as perfect as Black American women. Mm-hmm. Turkish women. I have friends from every nationality and every background, including Israeli. I've traveled to over 20 countries. No one in the world is expected to have a six-figure job, perfect toes, perfect panani, perfect everything, and work just as hard as the man, be a half provider, and then at the same time turn around and submit to a man, and then accept men who have hormones and government assistants who want to be us as well. Yeah. Here in Germany, women will work, they get married, they take 3 years maternity leave, and most times they never return to work full time. Here in Germany, women just got into the workforce in the 80s. So even in Europe, worldwide, women are not held to the standards that Black women are held to. And I get so pissed off when I watch YouTube, and it makes me want to cry, that there are so many Black men who are putting the pressure on Black American women to have it all. They are the only men on the planet who do not have to support and to provide for their family and who are looking for this half and half crap. I've been to Spain. I've been Only place I haven't been to is where I want to go to is where you've been to Japan. I've been to China. In Shanghai, the men not only work, they come home and cook and clean. Nowhere else we have to be a mule.
Listen, let me start picking up on Ni hao ma.
Shanghai. Now, if you go to other parts of China, it's not so. But in like Xinjiang, a lot of the women work, but they're also darker, poorer people. So a lot of the men leave and go to the bigger countries for factories. And Chinese women are very disciplined and very hardworking women, and they're very independent. Because a lot of them are the only women in my age category that were born in their family because they only had a one-child policy. So even them as women, it's their responsibility to take on the responsibilities for the family. But even with them, and they marry a man, it's not this pressure to be half and perfect. And I'm over it. And then it's like I get all of that pressure. Every time I talk to a black man in America, it's like talking to someone whose mind, anyway, that's a transgender thing.
Yeah.
When we add this, like the caller said before me, when we add this on top of it, it's really, at this point, for me, too much pressure.
Yeah, and you know what?
Because I'm not going to compete with wigs and nails and someone who talks about sex all the time.
Well,
sorry.
I mean, it's in male nature. You know what I mean? Because when you don't have the responsibility of getting pregnant and having to choose the future generation and all of that, it's a whole different story. You know, and so there are two things that I wanted to say that you reminded me of. One, in the Black community here in America, because I ended up, how many of you are on my Facebook page? If you're on my Facebook page, put up the number 9, okay? Put up the number 9 if you're on my Facebook page. My Facebook page is Tonya TKO Show and Tonya TKO TV. We talked about the trans issue for 4 hours last week, and I ended up losing it because my camera went offline, and there was the person who considers themselves to be a trans man on the line, and it went off air, and I told him, you know, just hold on for a second, the camera went off air. And he just kept going on and on and on. And I said, please, I'm trying to get the broadcast back. And he just kept going on. And I told him he needed to calm the F down, right? And if you would have heard the way this person who considers themselves to be male cussed me out, right? And attempted to abuse me. If you would have heard the way that this person was hollering to the top of their lungs, that the speaker was you know, when it over peaks, right? And when I got back on the air, I went off on this person because I'm like, you can't consider yourself a man and behave this way. And then something that you said really kind of stood out to me, is that here we have in the Black American community, we have men who grew up with our fathers who don't know how to be men. So now we have women who are going to transition into men without an example of what a man is and truly like, without a healthy example. It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and then it's like the last point I wanted to make that I kind of wrote down was with work, and I quickly checked the comments for the gentleman in the comment. I'm a very straight, very feminine, and I'm not bragging. I'm super attractive. Otherwise, I wouldn't be working with some of the companies I work with. So you can get the fact that I'm a dyke or a feminist out of my head, and you can.
Are you arguing with people in the comments?
And I know this is not my show, but
please don't do that.
Anyway,
when you all call here, please don't argue with people in the comments. If you want to argue with people in the comments, you can do that in the comments.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
No, it's
and
okay.
So I'll say this, the last thing about work is a lot of, I remember my mom and my grandmother used to work for Bell Atlantic 40 years ago. And I remember them working for us to have equal opportunities to be in the workplace. And I remember women in construction and those kind of movements that happened in the early 80s. Now we are able to work really worldwide. We're well respected because of our discipline. We work very hard. However, a lot of the things that we fought for, oh God, I don't know how to say this without being insulted. A lot of I have mad respect for the LGBT, the community, but a lot of them have stepped on our backs and have gotten more rights than us, received more rights than us now.
What rights do you feel that they have that we
what I'm
don't?
saying?
What rights do you feel they have that we don't have?
Like, for example, they just passed a law recently when everybody was protesting that they are not to be fired at all without explanation if from jobs. We don't have that right now in America. Even here in Germany, it was pushed so hard over here in Germany, where they made a racist commercial, and the way they apologized was by painting their logo in a rainbow. So
Okay.
it's
Well,
like,
you know what? Listen, I'll say this, right? It was not even against the law to fire a person for being gay or trans because they didn't fall underneath the Civil Rights Act. And in many states, it still doesn't fall underneath the Civil Rights Act. So on the one hand, listen, yes, I definitely feel that there are things that need to be brought to the forefront, but I think it's disingenuous for people of privilege to not even try to be aware of the privilege that they have. So you have privileges for being straight and appearing to be a woman and stuff like that. You have privilege for being pretty, like you say that you are, right? And so I'm not going to sit here and then try to have a pity party and perform the pity Olympics to see who has more rights when we can. I think it's intellectually dishonest to say that their community has more rights than we do. I think that's just dishonest.
well,
But listen, we've been on for 14 minutes, so you can jump back into the comments.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
All right. Good night. All right. So yes, they do have rights, but I'm not going to say that they have more rights than we do. You know, I mean, if we're going to have a conversation, we can be honest. You know, like, we're not going to sit up here and act like white supremacists who have all the privileges in the world and be like, oh, they taken when they have everything. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that as Black women that we have everything, but you know, we can't say that they have more than we do. We can't say that. All right, so the phone number is 323-488-3149. And you need to go ahead and save the number. Save the number. It's as simple as that. All right, so listen. We're going to take a few more phone calls. Let me see how long we've been on. We've been on for a little more than an hour. I just wanted to get those points out. I don't want to stay on long. Why isn't the number in the chat? Because none of my admins are on because it's 2 o'clock in the morning. That's why. Why have you not saved the number when I announce it in every video? Or if you can just jump out and go to the last video that I saw and see the number listed in the last one that I did with Colin, the number is listed in the subject. You know, it's like, come on now. Hi, you're on the air live. There's a lot of noise in the background. Listen, when you call in, please be prepared to talk on the air live. It's as simple as that. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. And why isn't the number listed? Look, I wasn't planning on doing a live call-in show. It's just something that happened in the heat of the moment. So, Harajuku Bobby's in the house. All right. So we'll take a few more phone calls and then we'll jump out. We'll jump out. What is WAP that everybody is talking about today? Because I know that these young ladies dropped a music video, but now everybody's talking about WAP. And I'm like, whack ass pussy. I don't know what WAP stands for. So I definitely want want to know what that is, because I can see that that's going to be the term of the fall now, since summer is almost over. There's no hot girl summer this year, but I guess we're going to have some, I don't know, freak 'em out of pandemic fall. Yeah, if you'd like to call me, make sure that you call me with a number that is not blocked. I'm not answering any blocked phone calls. Sorry. And if you don't know why your phone number is blocked, contact your phone company and ask them to unblock it, and then you'll be able to call in. Or call from somebody else's phone. Simple as that. All right. So, let's see. Oh, wet. Oh my goodness. Okay. 323-488-3149, 323-488-3149. Right now, we're talking about front hole and back hole, and how these are words that are more inclusive. So it's not to, words that are more inclusive as to not make other people feel uncomfortable by using words like vagina and penis or anus or whatever, right? So they don't want to use those words. So more inclusive words. Look, I've already announced, if you'd like to call in, make sure that your number is unblocked. It's as simple as that. So they made a song called Wet AP. I don't know what it is that we're coming to nowadays. I don't know what it is that we're coming to. Look, I really don't know. So, okay, so I guess everybody has said everything that they need to say. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name?
Hi.
Hello?
Hi, hello.
Yes, hi. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Imani.
Hi, Imani. I need you to turn down the computer in the background.
Oh, okay. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, hi. So I watch Chrissy because I think she's very informative, and she has a lot of great talking points in regards to dark-skinned Black women and our plight. And so I did watch her femininity versus trans women video, and I really thought that, me being a dark-skinned woman and seeing another, a man who is trans, who is another dark-skinned man, I see the competitive attitude that they have toward us. They kind of, when they see a woman who is, pretty, or she may be more dainty, they try to overcompensate by being more like a woman. They try to compete. They try to do things more feminine. And it's like, I see the same attitude with regular Black men. They try to compete with you. If they have more money than you, they will try to compete with you by saying, oh, I have more money than you, you're not as good as me. And it's that same mentality. So it's kind of like, I don't understand why they won't just have their own space instead of overcrowding women's space, that we have. They want to, overcrowd our space and basically, become like a dominant male, like most men want. They want to become dominant in that sector. And I feel like it's very dangerous because I've done a lot of speeches in my college classes, and I've done a lot of things in regards to them making uteruses via lab. And them being able to have children by a way of mechanical invention. And it's very scary because it's like, why can't they just be who they are instead of trying to eliminate and disenfranchise and erase real women?
Okay. Well, thank you so much for calling in and giving your point of view.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. So the phone lines are open, 323-488-3149. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name?
Monique.
Hi, Monique. So what is your comment?
Hi. My comment is, I would just like to speak on how I feel as a woman with these men that are gay, and that's fine, but they want to be considered a woman. I don't like that. I have a problem with that because you're not a woman. It's fine if you identify with loving a man, if you like whatever you like, if you want to dress however you want to dress, but you're not a woman. You'll never have the womanly experiences that I've had, and you don't know that road. I can't just get up tomorrow and decide, well, I identify as a white man. I felt like I was a white man all my life. It's just not going to happen.
So I just wanna stop you for just one moment so I could just educate people, right? All people who are trans women don't like men. So there's this thing called, gender dysphoria. And the gender dysphoria makes you feel like you were born in the wrong body, but that doesn't denote who you're going to be sexually attracted to. So there are transgender women who are attracted to women. They didn't want to stay in the male physique because they felt like they should have been in a woman's body.
Okay, well, actually, if they do, enjoy a male or a female, my bottom line is I don't like the fact that it seems like a man is always trying to come and take what does not belong to them. You are not a woman. That's
You know
just
what?
a simple fact
I'm
of
sorry.
the matter.
Tell me your name
I'm
one
a
more.
woman.
I'm sorry. Tell me your name one more time.
Huh?
Tell me your name one more time. I want to know how to refer to you.
Mokie.
Mokie.
The O is long. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the one that was calling you and I asked you where's the number at in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Well,
So
I couldn't find it
yeah,
because I had the wrong number.
Okay.
That's why I kept asking.
All right. So Mokie, you seem really upset by this. So talk to me.
I am. I feel some type of way about it.
What is it that's upsetting
really
you?
do.
Let's get to the heart of what's upsetting you. What is upsetting you?
What's upsetting me is that I'm a woman, and I don't feel like a person should be able to just come and just disrespect my gender and feel like you can take my gender. You're not a woman. Either you was born male or you were born female, and I have no problem with what it is that you want to live your life like. However, calling yourself a woman when you're not a woman and I am one, that's a problem for me.
Okay, so why? Why is that a problem for you?
Really, because, okay, I'm going to tell you, okay, first of all, I know a lot of gay people and transgender people and stuff, and I'm tired of the way that they play this caricature role of a woman, especially black people or whatever. And I don't like that either. We don't behave like that. We don't act like that. That's not the way I talk. That's not the way I walk or move. And there's some kind of game for them. And they're so extra. And we don't do all of that as women. You don't do it. I don't do it. I haven't heard anybody else on there that does it. And it pisses me off because it's not right.
Okay, so you're saying that you're upset because you feel that the way that they the way that they behave as a woman is a caricature of womanhood with the exaggerations, etc. So that upsets you.
Mm-hmm.
Why does that upset you?
Yes, and in fact, because they're not a woman. I can't really stress that part enough.
I know.
Either you're a woman or you're not.
But why does the caricature upset you?
Because I feel like it's mocking us. We go through enough. I feel like, first of all, men are very much predators towards women in the first place. I say at least about 75%, and I'm not male bashing. I love men, but that's just the fact. Either a man is trying to use you, or he's trying to get you for sex, or some other kind of stuff. Now they're coming for my sexuality or my nature, my natural nature. I am a female. I mean, what is it that you don't want from me? What is it that you're not trying to hijack for me?
Okay. So a part of it that...
And I feel like every time you turn around, they have something always negative to say about us. Oh, either you're too dark, or you're too light, you're too this, you're too tall, you're too skinny, you're too fat, you're too thin. You got women cutting their bodies up and putting stuff in their body to try to satisfy somebody who don't want you. Either somebody wants you or they don't. Women are particular about how long their hair is, or how short it is, or how nappy it is. It's like I see so many women just running into walls trying to appease these people, and then here come these very same men that hate everything about us a lot of times, and then now we got a group of men that's saying, well, I am every woman. I am a woman now. Fish. What? Really?
Okay. All right.
I don't like that. It's kind of like, wow, really?
Okay.
It's like taking it from all areas of life. I mean, I don't have a problem with somebody and whatever kind of way they want to live their life. Like you said, it's not all about a sexuality, but it is personal when it comes to my gender. You're the same gender. I know you feel some type of way about it. How can you not? Do you really like the fact that a man with a penis can stroll off into the bathroom, the same bathroom as you at a store? Or you got your little girl, she got a PP, and you take her in the store, and this man can stroll in, and you clearly know it's a man, but he identifies as a woman.
Well,
I'm not okay with none of this. It's confusing to children. It's confusing in life. It's just going too far. You cannot say you're something that you're not, because you're never going to be that just because you said it.
Well, you know what? I'll say this, right? I think it's important for you. I think it's important for people in the audience. I think it's important for me that when we have something that upsets us, that we spend some time really thinking about what is it about this thing that upsets me, and really just kind of, you know how when you had fractions back in the days and you had to find the common denominator and break it all down, right?
Well, I told you what the biggest part that was bothering me, and it's going to be the same thing. The fact is,
excuse me,
I'm a
excuse
female.
me. I've had to put you on mute right now, because if we're going to have a conversation, there's a time for you to speak and there's a time for me to speak. And if you don't want to have a conversation, then that's okay as well. You know, so I'm going to take you off mute now. All right.
Okay.
So I think it's important for us. Remember, like when we had fractions and you had to break down the complex number, the complex fraction, and just break it down. Like if you saw something that was 2/24, and that's really 1/12. So when you say, okay, so I'm upset that they want to be women, then you ask yourself, why does that upset me? And then you find out why that part upsets you, and then you break it down even further and find out why that next part upsets you, and just keep going down the list until you get to the heart of the matter, because in the heart of the matter is where you find yourself, because the issue really isn't about anybody else. It's really about something that's going on inside each one of us, because even though you and I are both womb holders and keepers of the womb, what upsets you and what upsets me about the same very situation are going to be different things, just like the people in the audience, okay? So take some time, and you know what? I encourage you, because like right now while you're on the phone, you know, I can see that you're upset, right? And you have good reason to be upset. And all of our feelings are valid. Your feelings are valid, and anybody with the exact same background, the exact DNA, the exact experiences as you would be experiencing the same exact upsetness that you're experiencing right now. You know, for your own growth, peace, and expansion as a human being, I encourage you to just break it down. And I'd love for you to write to me on my website. Come to TonyaTKO.com and then click on the contact link and write to me and let me know when you've gotten down to the base of why that upsets you so much, okay?
I did, but do you have time to let me say it again?
No, I would like for you to take some more time, sleep on it, and if you find why, you know, and listen, everybody's not going to have the ability to do it. That's why people work with life coaches, you know. But contact me when you find out what what it means to you, the heart of the issue, and how that reflects to you and what you've been through and what the real issue is. And then write to me if you ever find that. Okay, Mama, thank you so much for calling in. All right. So phone lines are open. I'm going to take a few more phone calls. And listen, this journey that we're on is there's really nobody else except for us. It's like everything on the outside is reflecting something back to us about us. And so it's up to each one of us. If you want to really grow, you're on the air live with Tonya. I need you to make sure that your speakers are turned down in the background. All right. What is your name?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
I'm okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My question
What is your name?
I acknowledge that, they have been invited into these spaces.
I need you to
so
tell
how
me
do you
what your
send
name
out
is.
a
Can you
mass
hear me?
eviction notice that you are no longer invited in these spaces?
Hello?
If they've been there for...
Hi, I've had to put you on mute. I'm trying to have a conversation with you, and I promise you I'm not going to be going through this for the rest of the duration of this call. It's late. I'm tired. I want to talk with people. However, we have to be in control of our own energy. You know what I mean? And so I'm going to take you off of mute. Can you hear me?
I can hear you with some feedback before, so I'm like, sometimes when I was talking, it sounded like
yes.
I would stop and then start back when it was
I need you
silent.
to tell me your name.
Mika.
Okay, hi Mika. So Mika,
Hey, how are you?
I am fine, thank you. I need you to listen through the phone so that when I'm talking back to you that you can hear what it is that I'm saying, okay?
Okay, cool.
Okay. All right. And so there's someone in the comments that's saying, I don't think the last caller has to self-reflect. Everybody's at a different stage of self-development. And there's some people who don't really have the capacity to look deeper, that they're here at the surface. This troubles me because this, without really peeling back the layers. And we are all in a different space. That's all I have to say. There's some people who understand what I'm saying. There's some people who don't. And that's fine. So Mika, what is your comment this evening?
My question is I agree with you that we have allowed trans persons into feminine spaces. So how do you actually go about, actually doing, like, I guess in the most politest way, an eviction notice, saying that, you're no longer allowed in these spaces? You can say it, but I feel like if someone has been there so long and they've grown roots, that it's not just a matter of saying, oh, hey, you need to exit the premises. So my question would be how do you say you're no longer invited to these spaces without causing a war?
Well, when I watched the Suffragette movie, they said that violence is the language that men understand. So this is what they said in the movie. So this is why, like the women who wanted the right to vote, the men wouldn't listen. They had to start making bombs and throwing the bombs into men's spaces, and the women were getting arrested and beat and all this other stuff. But now you see here in 2020, we have the right to vote. So it's unfortunate. I really don't know. I don't know. I think that it is not in women's nature to be, aggressive or...
Exactly. So that's why I was wondering, how do you do it without getting the tag of being too masculine if things do turn physical? So that's kind of been like I've always been respectful of my space, but I do have younger siblings that are just now getting that, and I was just wondering, like, so what would I tell them now that they're seeing that, it's becoming an issue?
Yeah, I really don't know what to say. I don't know how, it's like, this is why we're having the conversation. And I really don't know what the solution. It sounds like somebody needs a battery.
I'm good, but I was just wondering, just how do you politely say, this space is for me without a war, like a physical war of any kind? But
well,
okay,
you know what?
I honestly
think that we are going to have to let our voices be heard in the ballot box. And I think that there are going to need to be a lot of people who move away from the Liberal Party, because I believe that the Liberal Party has become too liberal. And I think that it's going to be
Yes.
time that we let our voice, is that your smoke alarm, your smoke detector?
No.
Oh, because I hear a little beeping in the background. I thought it was the smoke, the smoke alarm when the battery starts going out. So yeah, so I think we're just going to have to let our voices be heard at the ballot box and really just support legislation that is the legislation that we want and stand behind that. America has been a two-party system for too long, and we really need a third party, a progressive party in the middle, like a real progressive party, not a progressive Democrat or a liberal Republican, but a real progressive party.
Okay, well, it sounds like you might be at the start of a new movement yourself. You might want to consider career in politics as well.
Listen, people have been telling me that. I don't know if they're ready, though. I don't know if they're ready.
They're ready. They're ready. You might not get a lot of visible support, but you get a ton of personal support. Trust me, you would.
Yes.
So, think about that yourself, Tonya.
Thank you. You have
All
a great
right,
evening.
well, I'll get off the line for someone else, and you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Okay.
Or morning, rather. Bye.
Oh, yes. All right. So let me just address people in the comments. So there are some people. You're on the air live, so I'm just going to need you to hold for just a moment until I finish saying what I'm going to say, and then I'm going to come to you. Just make sure that your computer is turned down in the background, okay? I'm going to say this. Listen, I am a trained life coach. I'm also a certified clinical hypnotherapist, and I have been working with people for more than 12 years, right? People ask, how is it that I'm so patient and all this other stuff? I'm patient because I don't take it personally. Right now, I do reach my breaking point sometimes when I feel like my boundaries are being crossed. But anger is a necessary emotion. Anger lets you know when your boundaries have been crossed. Anger lets you know when there's something happening to you that you don't like. So there was a caller that called in, and she was saying that she was angry that she feels that they're mocking women. But why? I think that we owe it to ourselves for each one of us to ask us why something upsets us and really dig into that. And I see that there were people inside of the audience who were like, oh no, she's fine. She made perfect sense, this, that, and the other. And I would implore you that there is some work that you can do. Because listen, I'm not asking for your permission to say the things that I'm saying. I don't know what your qualifications are or what type of life it is that you're leading. I know that heart disease is one of the biggest killers in the Black community. And if at 2:00 in the morning on a Saturday, if we're so hyped up and so angry about a person who is not in front of us, who is not directly in contact with us at that moment, and that we're in such a state of anger and angst, that's not healthy for us. Because when you experience these emotions, there are hormones that are secreted through your body, and some of these hormones are corrosive. So it's up to us to really look into why we feel a certain way and break it down. Why does it upset you that someone pantomimes being a woman? Why does it upset you that you feel that women in general are being mocked? Why does that upset you? And then when you answer that question, and I encourage each person to have a journal and just go down the list, down the line. Why does that upset you? Why does this upset you? And get back to the root of what happened to you in childhood. What happened? What was the first time that you started feeling that feeling? And I'm telling you, you'll find healing inside of your life. There's a lot of us out there that need healing, male and female, a lot of us. And I don't expect everybody to be able to see that. I don't expect everyone to be able to see that. And that's okay. That's okay. All right. You're on the air live, caller. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Shay.
Hi, Shay. So what is your comment this evening?
Okay, so I'm kind of late, but I've been following the past. Lives about this discussion. But I did want to bring something up. First thing, because it's kind of shorter. I just commented on one of your posts too, the one about where they're saying men can have periods, and the comment that you posted. There's a book, and okay, Joe Rogan interviewed a lady. It's episode 1509. He interviewed a lady who wrote a book called Irreversible Damage: The Transgender Craze Seducing Our Daughters. And they talk about girls going in droves and thinking that they're transgender and then wind up detransitioning later, or, you know, they're extremely young. So they discuss that. It's kind of long, so if anybody is interested in listening to that, it's episode. My comments were, I feel like a lot of this, like, okay, I'll start here. With this stuff with the front hole and the back hole and everything like that, it's like, I feel like the way that women are positioned, I feel like we're being burdened with accepting everybody. Like, the way that trans people are trying to come in is a very masculine way to do stuff. I don't know if people have said that already because, like I said, I'm late. But I feel like it's a really masculine thing to do because, like, we, like, Black women accept gay people. Like, you know, we all have a gay best friend, but when it comes to, no, we don't have a gay best friend, but we all know somebody who has a gay best friend. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, Black people, like Black women, we don't shy away from gay men. But when it comes to the trans stuff, it's like they came out the gate, like, I knew, you know, I knew, and you can't tell me otherwise. And it's like, you don't have to say and do all that to sit next to, like, to sit with us. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not me, but we can still hang out. That's how I feel. Because I personally don't have a problem with trans people or anything that they're doing. My problem is the deconstruction of gender. And I think, which is the point that I'm trying to bring up, is that there's a difference between what trans people are actually saying, right? And then what the non-binary and gender fluid people are saying. Do you know about the non-binary gender fluid stuff? Should I explain it?
You're talking about people who do not assign any gender?
No, there are people who say, I'm not male or female, I'm just me, you know, or gender fluid, or some days I'm more feminine and some days I'm more masculine. Right. And those are the people I feel like who are trying to push this front hole stuff, this extra, like, things that are like getting way out there. I don't think the trans people are doing that. I don't think it's the trans people, because they're trying to fit into the gender binary of male and female. Right. They're saying, I was a man and now I want to be a woman. So they're not playing into this front hole, back hole stuff, because trans people, especially people who get the surgery, they're trying to get vaginas. Well, not all of them, but, you know, a lot of them get the surgery because they want to have a vagina. So I feel like trans people, they care about the gender binaries because they feel like this other place is where they belong. Right. But the non-binary, gender fluid, deconstruct the gender norms. Like, that's where I feel like some of this other stuff is coming from. So I don't think it's fair to blame trans people for all of that. You know.
What do you mean? You blame? You said you don't think blame trans people?
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to blame transgender people for pushing this front hole, back hole stuff. Oh, because I feel like it's more of the gender fluid, non-binary people who they don't want there to be gender at all. They feel like gender is a social construct and that we made it up.
Oh, I see.
Or that it's made up.
I see. How interesting. Now that's a whole other realm. I wonder how they're going to fit into society. So, wow. Okay, you know what? I've heard about that, but I haven't actually met anybody who has said that.
Right, me either. I think it's just a very loud, small group on the internet, and they know how to play into the LGBT stuff because they're such a small group of people within the LGBT group. that the LGBT people like push them up, like, hey, this person's rare, listen to what they have to say. So there's like articles of like, oh, men should wear dresses because it helps deconstruct, the gender binary and stuff like that. And I think that a lot of that stuff comes from, in my opinion, I feel like it comes from us not learning to have balance between feminine and masculine energy, because there's more to everybody than just like, I like pink, so I'm a woman. Or like people who put their kids on hormones. Oh, he plays with dolls and he likes pink, so he's going to be transgender and I'm going to put him on hormones at 5 years old. If you tell your kid, if you like pink and you like dolls, of course he's going to say he's a girl, because you say girls like X, Y, and Z. And if he likes X, Y, and Z, then he's going to say, oh, well, I must be a girl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or if you tell a girl only boys play with monster trucks, and then she'll be like, well, I'm a boy. They don't know what they're saying. They're kids.
I think
So
that
it's a lot.
I think that's outside of my scope, because I know that children, from what it is that I've read, children who are intersex are the ones whose parents can get them on hormones when they're little. But I don't think that parents can get children on hormones who say that they're transgender at 5 years old. I don't even, what hormones?
Oh, they are pushing it. Oh man, you have no idea. They are pushing that.
Well,
they're pushing it so hard.
I think
for people to put their kids on hormones really early, like 5 years old.
I think, I think there's a need for more research, more conversations, and more people in the conversation, because I don't know if it's just as simple as, oh, I like pink, I play with trucks, I must be, whatever. I think that in really to kind of gather what the people from that community feel, I think that we would have to talk with people from that community to kind of get an idea of what led to that path. And so more conversations are needed.
Right.
What the thing that we can talk about is our portion of it, how we relate to what it is that we perceive as going on. But to kind of try to jump into someone else's head, somebody whose journey we don't know and whose motivation we don't know, and all of that, so I want to stray away from that, because I feel that we will skew too far to one side if there's just us over here now speaking for other people, so I just want to make sure that we don't do that.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I personally feel
no, because we've been on for 11 minutes, so I know we kind of got into the call a little late, but that still left us with 6 minutes for the call. So thank you so much.
I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
All right. All right, a few more phone calls. Now you see there were people in the audience who were very angry and getting very upset. And it's like, listen, I understand. It's a heated, charged topic, and whenever you're tasked with having to look at yourself, it's a lot easier to lash out than it is to look deep within yourself. And ladies, if you're finding yourself in a position where you're having uncontrolled bouts of anger and you descend into, cursing people out and carrying on, these are definitely times that you have to look within yourself. They have online therapists who are available for us, especially now during the pandemic. A lot of us are under a lot of different types of pressure and all types of things weighing down on us, and I want people, if there's anything that I could ask people to take away from this particular segment in terms of really getting to know ourselves, is realizing that in these relationships with people that you have where people are being abusive towards you, please know that it's not you. It hasn't nothing. A person's decision to abuse is really about that person. And what you have to do is you have to know yourself well enough to know what it is that you deserve and what it is that you don't deserve. And that's how you cut people out of your life, because you know that you do not deserve to be abused, and you realize that they're not abusing you because of who you are. They are attempting to abuse you because of who they are. All right? So phone lines are open, 323-488-3149, 323-488-3149. And listen, me personally, I don't feel offended. If anything, I feel empathy, and I feel sorry for this person who is that angry on a Saturday this early in the morning. My heart goes out to that person and anybody else who's suffering in that way. You know what I mean? You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name?
This is Madam Mouth.
Your name is Madam Mouth.
Madam Mouth. It's just my YouTube,
okay.
whatever. But
Well,
I've been watching you from, So I called in because, last week, you've been carrying this on for a while. I appreciate it because, a lot of people are afraid to do, this conversation. They're afraid to tackle it in the full, So I really appreciate you doing this. So I just would like to say, I'm glad that you touched on today that every transgender is not, that people confuse sexual orientation with, sexual with gender identity, and it is not the same. Let me turn this down because my son, he should be, okay. Sexual orientation with sexual identity, and it's not the same. And I've seen cases where like there have been men to rape. Look, I'm not saying, I'm gonna stop there because I don't want to go left. I'm not saying that that's what all of them do. There are good and bad people, male, female, different races. However, we cannot like eliminate that. We can't like avoid that or ignore the fact that penetration or somebody having the ability to penetrate like it's what it is with the bathrooms, with prisons. They don't even put the transgender males with the females. They may not put them with the males, but they don't put them with the females because they have the ability to penetrate. So regardless of how they choose to live their lives, I just feel like some things we just can't ignore some things we can't. I mean, we can pretend. No, people can live their lives. You can respect them if they are respectful people, because I don't care what your sexual orientation is. If you're crap, you're crap. Period. That's just how I do things, okay? But we cannot ignore the fact that they have the ability to penetrate, and it does not mean all of them want to penetrate women. That is not what I'm saying. But I am saying you cannot ignore the few or whomever that they transition to be women, but they sexually prefer women. And since we can ask someone the gender, and even if they transition, you can ask them the gender they prefer, but nobody really, I don't know if it's appropriate to ever ask what your sexual orientation is. And so if we're going to be respectful and we can't ask people what their sexual orientations are, we got to consider all of that. That's an inappropriate question. So since it is inappropriate and we want to be respectful to everyone, you just consider those things. And I think it should be planned accordingly. Like, they don't have to share restrooms with natural-born women who have vaginas unless they have vaginas. But since you can't ask the question, how about we just have a restroom that's for trans men, women, just a neutral restroom? Like, there's ways around this. You don't have to like impede upon anybody's space. Like, there are ways for everyone to be happy. I don't have any issue. Like, I hang around like a multitude of gay people. I've been to clubs and everything when I was younger. However, like, they have a different mentality. Like, my friends that are bisexual and things like that, they don't. These gay politics that's going on now, what's his name, Billy Porter and all of them trying to push, my bisexual and gay friends don't agree with that. The whole Black Lives Matter, they feel that's not a gay issue, that's a black issue, and I'm black. And if the court system or whatever is not serving me well, my black skin has to do with that, and they don't ask who I prefer to sleep with. Now, this is what they told me. Okay? So, like, all of this nonsense is too much. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much. It's silly. It doesn't have to be this complicated. Kids should be completely left out of the equation. Like sexual orientation. What, kids? No, that's inappropriate for kids. If you haven't hit puberty, your sexual orientation should not be a thing. I'm sorry. Period. That's just how I feel.
Got you.
And that's that.
Well, thank
and let's
you so
stop
much.
pretending that your identity has to do with your sexual orientation, because it does not. And since it doesn't, because we're like eliminating stuff. And I don't like the misogyny, because nobody considers trans males, and I know one, he lived with me for a while and everything, dated my female cousin. I don't like how even if you transition to a man, if you were born with the female chromosomes, you are not upheld to the same, like you're not honored in the same way. Let's do all that. So the trans females that call in and try to eat everybody up, why are you not standing for the trans men that were born women? I know one. I don't appreciate it. That went through a mastectomy and everything. Like, they don't even get the same light, the same, even on the media. Like, but you want Black Lives Matter to rep you when it's in trans sexual orientation and sexual identity has nothing to do with race. You want them to rep you, but you can't even rep your trans brethren. I'm over it. That's all I have to say.
Well, thank you so much for calling in.
It's so hypocritical. It's very misogynistic. I always felt that way.
Listen, we've gone into 6 minutes, and we only have 10 minutes left for the show. So thank you so much for calling in. All right.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to take one more call, and then after that, we're going to jump out of here because I want to get out of here around 2 minutes. I'm sorry, 2 hours. So we're going to take one last phone call. And so, listen, when it comes to children who are transgender, I definitely think that we all need psychological, support. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, Miss Tonya. This is Molly.
Yes, hi, Molly. How can we help you? What's your comment this evening?
Yes, I agree with a lot of what the ladies are saying. I just wanted to give food for thought. Just think that from my experiences, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. Well, the life that a lot of us trans people have lived has been very, and this is no excuse, because what the trans advocates are doing is wrong and it's extreme. I just want to get this out. The life that we have lived is very, not too many people have really cared about certain things that we've gone through, and I myself have been in situations.
They need you to speak up. They said they can't hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Continue talking. I'll see whether or not they can hear you.
Okay. I've been in situations where I thought it was people who had my back, and they didn't. And I faced very brutal things. So now that we're faced with, it's like a carrot being dangled in our face, like, look, you can be like them, you can be this. A lot of transgender people are really just returning the favor, because when I look at a lot of things that straight people say now, they sound like me back in the day. I just lost my job because I offended somebody, or I remember losing a job back when I was trying to work. When I heard the word uncomfortable, I already knew I wasn't gonna do it.
Right.
So you know, a lot of times we have been hardened, and it's still not right, because even though all women haven't, you know, been on board, most of the time it is a woman, and a Black woman, that has had our back.
So
Also,
go ahead.
Also, I am a person who has, on my 24th birthday, actually, has been, I don't want to trigger anybody, but I have been sexually assaulted brutally on my 24th birthday. So the trans people that are, what are they, suing the shelter for women, that is a huge slap in the face to all people who have been abused like that, because...
What do you mean? I can't hear what you're saying. You said, what is this huge slap in the face?
The trans women that aren't they like suing a women's shelter?
Oh, they already had it defunded. They had the governmental funding taken away from it was a rape crisis center. Yeah.
See, that is where I feel is a soulless thing to do, because as someone, I'm assuming are trans people who have been raped, there is a whole lot of psychological things that go into that. You know, I couldn't imagine trying to do that. Miss Tonya, I'm starting to think like, I don't know. All I can say is I hear y'all, and I agree with y'all, and there are those of us who do hear you all. I also wanted to say before I go that there are people who are misdiagnosing people, saying that they're trans when they're not. There is a such thing as femboy, is a feminine boy, or you know, there are some people who transition for sex. People who transition for sex, or people who are misdiagnosed, they detransition. Right. But there isn't a plethora of us, you know, detransition. Okay. Also, I wanted to say, what that lady said was very fair. You can't just see a child playing with dolls and think that their child is trans. Because I am trans, but when I was growing up, I wanted to be like my mother, but I also wanted to be like Mike Tyson.
Like your who?
You know, I said when I was growing up, I wanted to be like my mom, but I also wanted to be like Mike Tyson.
Oh, Mike Tyson?
You know, right.
Okay.
So you can't just look at what a child plays with and think that they're transgender, because me even identifying more with women, I saw Mike Tyson and I was like, this is cool. I mean, I probably would have been a more feminine version, but I wanted to be like him. So I think people are just, it's new and it's hot, I guess, and people are just throwing this title on everything. And everyone is not transgender, and there is a community of people who are non-binary that have.
Yeah, so let me ask you this question before you jump off, because we only have a few minutes left to just wrap up the whole show. Have you seen people who have seen their child playing with a doll or whatnot and just arbitrarily said, oh, my child is trans as a result of that? Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it, but I've read articles.
I see. All right. Well, you know what? On that note, we're going to have to expand the conversation another day. I appreciate you for calling in. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So listen, we are going to be jumping out of here. I appreciate everyone who has called in. You each added to the show. in different ways. I'm sorry, my stomach is empty. It's late. It's almost 3 o'clock in the morning. This is the latest that we've ever been on. Go on and thumbs up the video. Once the video is published, I'm going to put the link to the blog post below. I'd love for you to go over, check out the blog post, leave a comment over there, and let me know what it is that you think. This is obviously a very deep and complex conversation that is going to take some really unpacking. And we each have to question ourselves, you know? Everybody has to question themselves, and we each have to remain flexible to be able to find truth, the greatest version of truth that there is there, and also remain flexible enough to be able to allow a new truth in as we learn more. Okay, so that's all that I ask of people, is leave yourself flexible enough to be able to hear and learn. I remember I used to have this associate that used to be like, they didn't feel that they had anything to learn. And I was like, so you feel that this is the best that you could be for your whole life? You don't think that you'll ever be better? That friendship didn't last very long. That associateship didn't last much longer than that, because we are constantly in the state of expanding. Who it is that you are is a lot greater than what you know it to be. So thank you all for participating. I appreciate all of you. Make sure that you thumbs up. Make sure that you come to TonyaTKO.com and join my mailing list. Make sure that you go over to Amazon and get the book of affirmation, Self-Love. And I will see you all in the next video. All of the links are on my website, TonyaTKO.com, which are also in the description of this video. Peace.